All right, this is Dr. Jeff. I'm coming to you live from Costa Rica, Rythmia Life Advancement Center. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about ways that you can improve your relationships. And as a tool, we're going to use plant medicine because that's what we're doing down here in Costa Rica. And we're getting some incredible results by the methodologies that we have down here. And relationships are such a huge part of our life. And working with lots of couples over the last 2 decades, doing couples therapy, working with families, and just trying to help people build strong, stable, healthy, happy relationships. What I've learned over time is that it really comes down to being vulnerable. So vulnerability is something that is scary for a lot of people. So if I'm not able to be vulnerable with a relationship, that means that I'm not able to really connect with that person. And I might have a lot of reasons why I don't want to make myself vulnerable. I might have a history of abusive relationships. I might come from a traumatic history. I might come from an abusive background. And the problem with that is that if I don't trust people and I feel like I'm going to get hurt, then I am less likely to make myself vulnerable to other people. And that obviously is going to hinder our relationships. It's going to impact the way that we deal with other people in our lives. So vulnerability is the key to relationships, and a healthy vulnerability. So what do I mean by that? So if I'm vulnerable to my spouse or my partner or my family member or my friend, what that means is I'm letting them see the true me, and I'm being authentic. So if I come from a history of trauma or abuse or neglect or abandonment or any of these horrific things that we all go through to some degree, I'm less likely to trust that process. And I don't really want to make myself vulnerable because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt. And what develops in life, if there's an abusive sort of history or an abandonment sort of theme, is that I'd rather not make myself totally vulnerable. I'd rather just kind of be guarded and have a wall and protect myself because the world's out to get me. Nobody really cares about me but myself, and I'm just not going to really be able to connect with anybody. So that's really frustrating for people because they see other people having relationships. They see other people that appear to be happy and connected and loving with each other, but they're all nervous, right? Because they don't know how to become vulnerable because they've been hurt and traumatized, and they're just in a pattern that's really upsetting. So vulnerability in a healthy way is the key to a successful relationship. Now, another thing that I've come across in my days working with tons of patients is people have a really insightful, intuitive ability. We all have it. We all know what's good for us. We all know what's best for us. Now, the problem is that our intuition gets clouded, and we get distracted by society, by what we think we should be doing, what other people tell us who we are, what we should be doing. So our intuition, which is our core self, that really is diagnostic of other people and other things, our intuition often gets kind of squashed, and we're not able to really act on how we actually feel about somebody or about a situation. And so what happens is, if I feel a gut feeling about somebody, I'm thinking like, this probably isn't the right person for me. This relationship is probably not a great idea. There's just different, we don't connect. It's just not the right thing. Maybe the person is abusive or is dangerous even. What happens is I start to think about it. I sort of rationalize. Well, he or she seems to be okay. They seem to be nice. All my friends like this person. And then we start to rationalize and kind of like avoid our intuitive gut instincts. And inevitably what happens is it leads to a problematic relationship, whether it's it ends in a bad way. We feel not happy in that relationship, just because we start to rationalize our intuitive abilities. So my belief is that society is constantly trying to override our internal mechanism that guides us, whether it be in ways that we purchase items or the way we should be thinking about the world or about government. And what happens is there's certain influences, whether it's commercial influences or government influences or just any sort of ways to sell us products or whatever, that it overrides what we're really feeling and thinking about what's best for us. So what I encourage people to do is get back to their core self and their intuition and be able to be vulnerable in a way that's healthy and that allows for connection with people. So you might ask, okay, well, cool, that sounds great, right? And that's nice. However, how the heck is that supposed to happen? Like, how can I all of a sudden just start trusting my gut? How can I all of a sudden just throw aside like society's sort of norms that have been placed upon me? And how can I start to have relationships that are really healthy? Well, the discussion that we're going to talk about, right, is how plant medicine can help with that. Because plant medicine is something that truly connects you back to yourself. It clears out all the nonsense. It clears out all the things that have built up over your life, the defense mechanisms, the ways of coping through problematic times, the ways that you view yourself, the way you view others, the way you view the world. It helps you actually get right back to who you truly are, your core self. And it does this through an amazing mechanism of spiritual intuition, neurochemical clarity, physical detox. It helps you get really back to who you truly are. So once you are plugged into yourself and you feel confident in who you are, you're able to love yourself and understand who you really are, and you're able to have clarity and make decisions that are appropriate for you. So when you're meeting somebody or you're trying to be in a relationship, I get a lot of these guests down here that at Rythmia here that are struggling with their marriages or their relationships with their spouse or their partners, and they feel like they can't connect anymore, and they feel that like our marriage is probably over, our relationship needs to end, and sometimes that's true. But oftentimes the guests that we have here are looking externally for a shift. They're looking for their partner to shift. They're looking for the circumstances of their life to shift. They're looking for all these external things to change that will hopefully make their relationship better. So what I've been able to witness down here at Rythmia is that none of that matters unless the individual themselves can shift and change and become who they really are and be back to themselves and have clarity. So what often happens is people come down here with a goal of like, should I get a divorce? Should I break up with my partner? And they end up going home and being like, wow, I'm actually in love with this person. I am totally happy. I need my partner to do plant medicine so they can feel the same vibe I have and be in the same zone and connection. We can actually grow together and be vulnerable in a healthy way that allows us to connect. So the beauty of plant medicine is that it's totally individual. And I've talked about this a lot in my Facebook Lives. It's a very individual process. Down here I have guests and they want to have sessions with me, and I do it, and it's really cool. But the theme of my session is just getting the person right back to themselves and helping them see that their gut instincts are accurate, that their intuition is true, that what they feel about their partner is accurate. Now, that might not be the case before they do their plant medicine sessions with us. We have 4 of them in a week that we do, as well as breathwork sessions that are very profound and self-connecting. But at the beginning, before all that starts, they might not feel in that zone that they can really make these choices. But what happens is as they progress through our program, they have more and more clarity. They feel more connected to themselves. They know what they need to do, whether that's break up with that relationship because it actually is abusive, or they can see the value in becoming vulnerable in a healthy way that allows a connection. I was, just a side note, I was a complete disaster in relationships my entire life. complete disaster. I was clueless. I was totally clueless. I hid by studying for 18 years in grad school. I hid by surfing all the time, training mixed martial arts. I just chalked it up to like, yeah, my upbringing was rough. I was in a rough area. And so I'm just like guarded. I'm a tough guy, you know, and I just lived this way that was totally horrible for relationships. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't let myself be vulnerable. Vulnerability meant weakness to me, the way I was raised. It just meant you're weak. So I was not vulnerable. And guess what? I was super alone. I was lonely. I was not happy. I had a ton of failed relationships. God bless the previous people that I was with, because I was not easy. I was a mess. And so what happened was, through my own plant medicine experiences, and keep in mind, I did a ton of therapy. I went to lots of therapists. I did a lot of work on myself. And I still was in a disastrous sort of state of affairs. It was not cool. And so plant medicine was the turning point for me. It helped me see who I really am. It helped me really connect with my inner self and my soul. It allowed me to be vulnerable, because I realized that, you know what, vulnerability is just authenticity. And if I'm not authentic, then who am I, right? So I learned how to be authentic and be vulnerable with people. And I was able to really have great relationships after that, with my wife, with my kids, with my ex-wife, with my family, with my friends, with the guests that I meet, with people that strangers. I was able to be like authentic and connected and feel in an appropriate way what this relationship was for me and for them. And the only way, in my opinion, to really do that in a deep sort of way is a ton of inner work and a ton of connection that you can get with yourself. Now, there's lots of modalities to do that. We all know we can list a million of them. And there's great ways to connect with yourself. You know, there's holistic stuff you can do. There's mindfulness. There's meditation. There's yoga. There's a lot of things you can do. Those are all great, and we offer that stuff here at Rythmia. But what I love about plant medicine is the quick ability that it has to plug you back into yourself, so you can feel confident. You can learn to trust your intuition. You can have confidence. You can move forward in a way in life that is really productive. And that allows you to be vulnerable, because vulnerability is authenticity, is nothing else. Doesn't mean you're weak. Doesn't mean you're going to get taken advantage of. It means you're willing to allow someone into your life and into your space to see what happens. And guess what? That's super exciting. It's actually really fun, because when you connect with somebody in a real way, an authentic way, it makes you stronger. It makes you stronger. And so the beauty of plant medicine here at Rythmia is that it allows you to do this in a way that's safe and medically licensed, and it helps you get on a path with your relationships that would be very productive. So I welcome all you guys to come down here. Couples, more than welcome. Individuals, come. There's a lot of miracles happening here every week for people that are struggling in relationships. I promise you that if you come here with relationship issues, you will get clarity. You will know what to do, whether that's leave that relationship or make it stronger, because you will love yourself by the end of this week, and you will be able to love somebody authentically and truly and deeply. It'll be a beautiful experience. So please come down here, check it out. I'm happy to meet you, and I interview every guest that comes. I'm excited to have you come down here. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon. Pura vida.